So, what made you? Obviously, you were fresh out of university, and I did on your Twitter. I think it was your Twitter down. It was you'd put like a post about a year ago, and you were essentially saying, "I'm struggling to get into media." Now, I'm doing a master's in broadcast journalism right now. And obviously, looking into the future, you think, wow, what's going to happen next? Obviously, with the pandemic right now, what was in your mind at that period of time when you were sort of struggling for jobs, and then randomly out the blue, York City give you a ring to be, the manager essentially of the social media team?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I put that post up, someone actually sent me it who I know, and they said, "Oh, just to let you know, this came off my time hop." Um, I don't know why it was on his time hop, but he said, "Oh, this was a year ago," and I remember posting out at the time because I was, like I said, I was just about to graduate, I think, and I'd been applying for these jobs, and all through uni, I was literally, grafting my ass off to do extra work. I was going above and beyond in everything I did. And I was doing all of this because I thought, oh, I'm going to be the one who gets the job at a football club because that's all I ever wanted. Um, and, I applied for a few clubs. I think there was clubs like Accrington, Bristol Rovers, West Ham. I just didn't hear back from anyone. And I was like, I'm not even getting a sniff here. No one's even taken notice of me, which is really disheartening. I was just like, I've put in all this work. I couldn't have done more. And people still aren't taking notice. And I was like, wow, like this is rubbish. But looking back on it now, you just need to be really persistent with it because you got to think how many people want a job in football, especially at a club. Literally probably everyone in my class wanted a job at a football club, and think how many journalism courses there are, media courses, and how many people are graduating that year. It's not how much work you put in. It's a contacts game as well. So the reason I got the job at York is I did a bit of internship with BT Sport, where I filmed the York City games because I'm from York, and I did that in my first year when I was 19, and the club secretary remembered me, so they put a job up for a commercial manager, which, funnily enough, my colleague Chris now holds. So he's probably finding this out for the first time. I did apply for his job, but I knew I was never going to get it. But I just wanted my name in there just to say hey, do you remember me? I'm now graduating. I want a job, just to get my CV in their hands. And the spotting director emailed me back and just said, "Yeah, I don't think the job's for you," which was the first rejection letter I ever had. No other clubs or anything had given me a letter just to say, "Yeah, we're not going to interview," or whatever. But York did, and they said, and he basically said, "Just contact me again in the summer because there might be a position." So I was like, "All right, that's interesting." So after all this was going on, I was applying at other clubs. I was like, "Tell you what, I'll bang York City another email just to see if if there is a role available," because I knew they had someone in at the moment. So I thought, oh, there's no really way that's going to work out. But they wanted someone part time to come in and do the social media side. Because as I said before, they had no social media presence. They were, you know, practically just really boring online. So no one, disengaged with the fans. Had a really bad relationship between the fans and the club. So they wanted someone to come in to tie that together. So I initially came in part time. Um, I sort of had an initial chat. I came in, had a chat. I was like, "Yeah, can you do part time?" I was like, "Yep, suits me," because I also got offered a job at the County FA in Northumberland. So I was working part time there and part time at York for a month, and that sort of brought a full time position. Um, and obviously, I was traveling up to Newcastle 3 times a week, which wasn't ideal. But as soon as I joined, wasn't because I joined, but the media guy who was in my job before actually handed in his resignation. Um, just he was I think he wanted to go into a different job or whatever. So it just so happened that there was a full time role. So obviously, me coming in part time, I was there and ready to take over the job. So I had an interview for it. They said, "He's leaving. Do you want to be interviewed?" So I was like, "Yeah, of course I do." And they interviewed me and another lad and the other guy had worked in a club before. So I thought, I knew who he was. I was just like, I'm not going to get the job off him. Like he's obviously the top candidate, and I was just you know, I'd probably stay part time probably, but I think they were really impressed at the interview. I think I'm quite a good speaker. I don't know. I think that's one of my strong points. If I'm doing an interview, I come across very enthusiastic, I think, and that's what you have to be like. And I came across like I knew the club really well because I did, and because obviously I've grown up in York, I knew the club, and I came with so much stuff. That stuff I was saying before, I'd done so much at uni. I brought all of that with me, like physical stuff. And I was like, this is what I do. This is what the club's about. This is where it needs to go, and I can help you do this. And I think they made the right decision in the end, I hope.
So what sort of, obviously you had your physical evidence there, Dan, your hard evidence. So at university, what do you think it was? Obviously you talk about your enthusiasm, but what other aspects did you bring that to that interview and, slap on the table and say, look, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this?
Yeah, it was. I sort of, like, as I said before, I knew the club secretary as well because I think she was the only one who was there before. So I sort of met her initially when I walked in the building. I think she probably put in a word for me and said, "Yeah, like Dan's a nice lad," sort of thing. And I think that sort of helped a bit as well. But I think it all just does boil down to being enthusiastic and having a good portfolio and contacts as well. Those three things together, then you can't go wrong. If you know what I mean, that's literally how you're going to get the jobs, especially in football media where it's so competitive. You've got to have all them three things to actually stand out against others.